What you doing, Diggletdreamers? I am live on Twitch right now. Going to talk about these new December updates. I've been very excited to see what's going on with these. The last few shifts have been pretty crazy. And I have no doubt that these ones will be just as crazy. I believe the NU tier is about to get a lot of crazy stuff. I'm very curious to see what manages to stay in the higher tiers, like especially RU. And also, if you're watching this, I'm going to record this and put it on YouTube later too, so if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to check out twitch.tv/Diggletdreams. Link should be in the description down below. I usually just do like team building on Tuesdays, called Team Building Tuesdays. But today is a special day, and I wanted to kind of give my own reaction to this stuff. I also just woke up, so I apologize if I'm like a little bit like weird sounding. Okay. Hoo ha hoo. Okay, I'm awake now. So yeah, let's get into it. So if people show up and start chatting with me, then understand that this is also live on Twitch. So anyway, oh man, I want to look at the visual. I want to skip all this stuff. I want to skip all this stuff and just get the visual. Okay, here we go. Oh, it happened. Oh my god, it happened to this guy too? No way. Okay. So okay. So first of all, UU to OU. Ooh, Hippo, Hydreigon, and Tapu Lele moved up. Okay, very interesting. No, not Slowking. I actually really liked him in RU. He moved up? Wow, okay. Ooh, and Lycanroc, Nidoqueen, and Ninetales moved up from RU to UU. Oh, as did Tangrowth and Terrakion. Okay, interesting. A few things that I wasn't expecting. A few things that I think aren't that surprising. So, Terrakion was actually on the block to be banned from UU, but it was still in RU. It didn't get banned, though, to be fair, but looks like it has now moved out of RU, so I guess they won't have to question that any further. Very cool to me that Lycanroc Dusk has moved up to UU, because I think that thing was super underrated. That thing is entirely super underrated, especially in the RU tier. It was like just as good in many ways as Terrakion, just as like an offensive Pokemon. I think like it's been discussed many times. Obviously, I'm not breaking new ground here, but Lycanroc's speed and attack combined with the ability Tough Claws really made it a huge threat. Plus the priority of Accelerock is really nice. Obviously Terrakion having that fighting type as well and being a little bit bulkier made that it was a nice niche for it too. But it didn't have the speed or just as much offense, I think, as Lycanroc Dusk did. But anyway, moving on. So Torkoal moved up to RU. That makes sense because I think Drought is still allowed. Ditto has also moved up to RU. That makes sense because it was such an offensive tier. Galvantula moved from PUBL to NU. Okay, not a big deal. As did Golbat from PU to NU. Yeah, this thing it has been a solid Eviolite user in the past, and I assume it will continue to be. ZU to PU with Trevenant. Hell yeah, that thing is underrated. I think Poltergeist was really the biggest thing for this Pokemon, and it was basically like it could run an okay banded set before the Isle of Armor, but the Isle of Armor giving it Poltergeist really sealed the deal, because now it has like Woodhammer as a strong stab move, plus Poltergeist as its strong dual stab, and can even run like Horn Leech as like a secondary stab option. And then it also gets Earthquake as like a last move. It can also run Trick, even like a Will-O-Wisp or something. And then Natural Cure is actually a super nice ability for it. So it does, if it gets burned or something, it can just switch out. Oh, I still need to wake up my voice a little bit. Okay, let's look at drops now. So there's not many rises overall, but I can already see there's a ton of drops, and I'm trying not to look at them too much, but I knew it would happen. I was calling it literally, like, as soon as I saw the mid-month drops, and I saw that Blaziken had like 4 point something percent, or no, it was like 5.4, and the cutoff is 4.5 or something. Oh man, it had less usage than Barraskewda in the OU tier. I was like, this thing's dropping. This thing is absolutely dropping, and it has. And so is Zapdos-G. I didn't expect this. I thought this thing would still have, you know, like a month or two of just being like the fun new Pokemon, but I guess it dropped. So very interesting. Everybody was so scared of Speed Boost Blaziken for so long, and now it just has dropped to UU. That's crazy. And this is like, so what, you know, obviously all these recent tier shifts, a lot of the shifts are because of, you know, things being new and exciting. Like the reason that Zapdos-G probably stayed up in the OU tier for as long as it did is because everybody thought it was so cool and wanted to use it. And there should have been a good amount of that with Blaziken too, because it's been banned literally since I've been playing competitive Pokemon, which is like over 6 years. And now that they finally unbanned it, it's been OU, and it still didn't have like the excitement, new toy syndrome to stay in OU for long. That's just so crazy to me. Wow. I can't believe it. I'm very excited to see how it does in UU. I feel like it's going to be extra powerful in UU. Anyway, UU to RU Glastrier dropped, which is very interesting because I feel like this is a super underrated, powerful Pokemon. Like, just, if you ever just look at this thing's stat, actually, I have the team builder up. I think I already have. I have my UU team. If you watched the channel, you probably already saw it. Where is it? Zapdos. Wow, I'm looking at this team. Nidoking stays OU, but Zapdos doesn't. And Aegislash also not OU. It's Latias too. Anyway, where's my UU team that I was using? Why don't I just... oh, I'm literally hovering right over it. Look at this thing's stats. 145 attack, 100 HP, 130 defense, 110 special defense, and like 30 speed isn't great, but you don't need special attack ever, so like that being bad doesn't really matter. So really, like 1, 2, 3, like 5 out of the 6 usable stats, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 4 out of 5 usable stats. I can't do math. Are super good, and speed is the only thing you need to worry about there. So I find it very interesting. I feel like this Pokemon is going to be super good in the RU tier, and I think it was already pretty solid in UU too. But Regidrago is another very interesting drop too, because I feel like Dragon Energy from this thing is one of the biggest nukes in the game right now. Like, I've seen very little amount of Pokemon able to tank a hit from this thing. Things like maybe like Moltres Galar, Nihilego, things that have just like surprisingly good special defense, and those are like the only things that can really tank hits. Like it probably, I mean, you know, it doesn't help it, I suppose, that there's an immunity, but you know, so does Regieleki. You don't see that thing slowing down, although I'm sure it is. I'd like to look at the usage stats eventually. Okay, so RU to NUBL, Kingdra, and Tyrantrum. Wow. So Drizzle is allowed in the RU tier, and Kingdra still dropped. That's pretty crazy. Tyrantrum, also a crazy thing to drop. But, you know, when you think about what else there is, or what else there has been in the RU tier, things like these Pokemon over here, like Ninetales, Alola, Lycanroc, Dust, Terrakion, Tangrowth, it's like, okay, I guess it does kind of make sense that these things dropped. But now here's the big one, the big, oh my god, huge amount of drops from RU to NU. Let's see. So Abomasnow, okay, that's not that surprising. Aerodactyl, Araquanid, Arcanine. Ooh, this is you know, like a top RU Pokemon. Like it held on to UU for a little while, and I think it was the Crown Tundras when it did finally drop to RU. And now it's already dropped to NU. I'm sure this thing will rise back up, but very interesting. Oh my god, these two, Archeops, not that surprising. Arctivision, Arctozolt were very much like top offensive Pokemon. Well, no, Arctozolt was definitely a very threatening RU Pokemon, because, you know, there's Abomasnow and a bunch of other hail setters down here, and, you know, Bolt Beam the Pokemon. That's kind of the idea. So it's kind of surprising to see these things drop. I figured they would, you know, at least Arctozolt would still be, you know, have enough usage because of how strong it is and how fast it can be under hail. Anyway, both Articunos dropped. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. I guess I kind of expected Articuno Galar to be a little bit more, you know, exciting and new, but I guess having such a shallow move pool really doesn't help these guys. And there's the problem with RU is just there's so many other powerful things to use. Like Articuno Galar just kind of fell by the wayside. Barbaracle and Beware, very interesting. Barbaracle has, you know, previously been banned from RU because of its Shell Smash set. Beware, also very good. Blastoise, very good. Braviary, Bronzong, Celebi. Wow, talk about like a UU Pokemon that has now dropped to NU. Charizard, kind of understandable, although this thing is certainly powerful. Like it deserved its place in RU up until now, I guess. Cabaraja, Cresselia, Decidueye, Delmise, Diancie, Dragalge. This thing is so powerful. It's crazy this drop. I mean, the speed is really what does hold it back, but it's just so powerful. Durant, a Pokemon that has been previously banned from RU, just because it's so strong with, you know, priority first impression, hustle, Iron Head, and all those moves that it gets. Does it get close combat? I feel like it doesn't, but I wouldn't be that surprised if it did. Exploud, okay. Flygon, wow. Talk about another Pokemon that like only recently kind of fell to RU. I think like last generation was maybe a little before that, but has always been like a very like top tier, like one of the most used Pokemon in RU, and is now NU. Galisabot, also crazy. This thing has seen like UU usage like this generation, so it's crazy. Golurk, kind of similar to Trevenant. It's like a better Trevenant. Like Stab, Earthquake, Poltergeist is super good. I'm not as surprised because I feel like this thing has had, you know, to claw its way up from like PU ever since it got Poltergeist. So it's not, I don't see it as much of a staple as some other things. Goodra was banned from RU. Heracross banned from RU. Indeedee Male banned from RU, as was Linoon. Heliolisk was UU. So there's a couple crazy things there. Wow. So basically, like, NU has just become the new RU tier. But the crazy thing is, like, a couple of these Pokemon weren't even really in the RU tier until the Crown Tundra. Like Heracross, like, barely had any time to even be RU. Like, it was RUBL until the shifts, until literally like 2 weeks ago it became RU because they released all the RUBL Pokemon. Oh man. Same with the Indeedee. Well, Indeedee Male was banned. I forget if Indeedee Female wasn't or not. I forget. But these are super strong. Obviously, they get the immediate Psychic Surge into Expanding Force, which is pretty crazy. Also, Heliolisk, Hitmonlee. I don't think these were broken in RU. I think Heliolisk was UU until the recent shifts. Hitmonlee was just RU. I don't know. They'll probably be okay. I feel like Heliolisk has seen lower tiers before, so it's not that crazy. I think it was just kind of like, it was nice for the metagame in like the Isle of Armor UU, and I feel like maybe if it's needed, it'll rise back up, but I don't know. maybe it'll be banned from NU, maybe not. Kabutops, great Rain Sweeper. I think this is kind of showing that, like, in the early stages of the shifts for RU, I think weather was super powerful. But having looked at this, things like Arctozolt, Kingdra, and Kabutops falling down, I think it's showing that, you know, it's not as powerful, like especially the hail and rain. What I am seeing, though, just kind of glancing ahead a little bit and putting it together with this shift right here, is that Sun is actually the best, because Venusaur dropped down in the last shifts, and that is a powerful Pokemon. And I don't see that thing anywhere down here, because it would be V, right, for Venusaur. So that thing obviously stayed RU because of how good it is. And the Sun Setter himself has also risen up, so clearly the Sun is the superior weather, and all the other ones are dropping down. It could just be because, you know, like, the hail setters aren't as useful in the metagame. Like, Torkoal is super nice, and then it has like Stealth Rocks, Rapid Spin support, and stuff like that. So it's not a bad Pokemon to have on your team to begin with, whereas like Abomasnow might not be quite as useful, or something like Aurorus, or well, Ninetales, but that thing rose up. So maybe it should have been as good, but who knows. I forgot about Ninetales for a second. Anyway, Linoon, this thing, if you don't have like a ghost type or something that can tank an extreme speed, this thing is crazy to deal with. That's why I was banned from RU, and I have a feeling that it's going to be banned from NU pretty soon. Well, I mean, depends on what they do with their shifts. I don't know. I don't think it's going to stay in NU long term. This thing, people underestimate this thing just because it's a Linoon, but because it gets Belly Drum extreme speed, like, that is something you have to respect regardless of who gets it. Speaking of extreme speed, Lucario dropped, which is crazy. Machamp, another thing that's been banned from RU. Mantine, Mienshao, Milotic, Noivern, Obstagoon, Omastar. Talk about a fall from grace. This thing was UUBL for most of this generation, and it now has somehow found its way down to NU. Maybe this thing will manage to stay in RU for a time, but I have no doubts in my mind that this thing is not staying NU, along with things like Lucario, Machamp, Mienshao, probably Heracross too, and the Indeedee both, I'm guessing. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, Palossand, Pangoro, Passimian, Poltegeist, Porygon Z, Raichu Alola, Regigigas, and what's this thing called? Reuniclus. I don't see Poltegeist and Porygon Z lasting in this tier. I'm curious to see where Regigigas might actually land when all things are said and done. Because, you know, it did get some small buffs, which does make it better. Like, I think it just Protect it got, and maybe Substitute, I forget. I never really used it prior to the Crown Tundra, so I'm not entirely clear on how it got better, but I know it got a little bit better. So I'm curious to see what eventually happens with this thing. If it manages to stay, maybe it'll stay NU, but it might also just continue to drop to PU. But maybe it'll stay usable in PU and won't drop to like ZU or something. I don't know. Reuniclus also seems like something that probably won't stay NU. Wow. Yeah. I think once I go through all of them, I'm going to go back and just think about which ones are probably the most bannable from NU, in my opinion. Rhyperior is a crazy one. This thing, obviously, like a huge, bulky, defensive Pokemon. Only recently came back to RU after a little bit of a stint in UU, because it was just, you know, its defensiveness was just needed up there. It's curious to me that if this thing will actually stay NU or not, but I feel like because it's not quite as offensive, although it is pretty offensive, I don't know. It might stay a little bit longer than some, but I feel like it might even just go up by usage again. Rabambi, okay, this thing kind of does what it does in whatever tier. I think it might be a little bit powerful for NU, but we'll see. Roserade, this is crazy. That's crazy. I've never seen Roserade this low in my life. I've never seen a lot of things this low, but Roserade has always been such a UU or RU staple for the last few generations, so it's weird to see it fall. Just, I don't know why. I guess because like things like Machamp, Lucario, Mienshao are definitely crazy, but I'm not like used to them being in the RU tier at all, which is like, it's obviously very weird, but not as weird to see something like a Roserade to fall. I don't know, it doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense. We got Rotomo, Scrafty, Scyther, which I can't believe has dropped considering how strong the dual wing beat has made this thing. Sharpedo, also crazy. This thing is super powerful. Shiftry, was this thing even RU? I forget. Interesting. Sigilyph, yeah, this thing's powerful. Has this thing been banned from NU? I feel like it might have. Or no, was this thing banned from RU? I think this thing was actually the most recent ban from RU prior to the Crown Tundra. So that's crazy that it's already, you know, already being back and it's dropped already. Silvally Steel, I can tell by the gray coloring, I think. And there's only a few Silvallis, I think, that it might even only be this Silvally that actually managed to stay RU. But that's dropped, joining a bunch of its brethren down in NU. Surfetch, this is crazy. This is a powerful Pokemon and was so powerful that it was banned from RU, but it has dropped to NU now. Galarian Slowbro, this thing is crazy. I mean, I love the ridiculousness of the Quick Claw, Quick Draw set. I think that's a really fun set. I could see it dropping, but I don't think it's gonna stay. Because this thing is, you know, it's surprisingly good. I think it was even potentially banned from RU. We got Slurpuff, okay. Starmie, which is crazy. I can't believe this thing hasn't, you know, gotten usage. Along with Sylveon, Talonflame, and Toxtricity. Those are some crazy ones right here. I have no doubt that these things will not stay in NU. Serena, Umbreon, Uxie. Okay. Vanillix, Vikavolt, Vileplume, Virizion, Zoroark. Wow. NU to PU, Magmortar, NU to PU, or PUBL, I should say. And then these ones are NU to PU, Cofagrigus, Cradilly, Frostlass. No one's using Frostlass after the banded Frostlass video. Haunter, Miltank, I guess I was a little bit late. Regice, Stunfisk, Galar, Turtonator. Huh. I've heard that Turtonator was super crazy powerful behind Aurora Veil, but it didn't even manage to stay NU, so I'm very curious to see what thoughts are there. PU to ZU, Avalugg, Gourgeist, Licky Licky, Ninetales, Pinsir. I got blasted by a banded Pinsir when I was playing PU last week, so it's weird to see that drop. Avalugg, everyone thought this was going to be its generation. Body press, heavy duty boots, but no. Ninetales is crazy. I mean, I assume it doesn't get drought this low in the tiers, but still. Gourgeist, also super good. I feel like it's sometimes even better than Trevenant because it has much higher speed generally, depending on what size you're using, I guess. But Trevenant does have a higher attack stat in general, so that is a factor. Anyway, let's look at this RU to NU drop here. I want to consider, what do you think are the craziest drops, what things are going to probably be the quickest bans? In my opinion, let's see, Durant probably top of the chopping block. I feel like this thing's still even being considered for RU. Maybe not that much considering the crazy things that are still in the tier, but that means Barbaracle also I think would be one of the top ones. Goodra, Heracross, Indeedee, especially the male one for sure. Linoon, Lucario and Machamp and Mienshao I think are crazy. Obstagoon probably. Porygon Z and Poltegeist for sure. Reuniclus, Scyther and Sharpedo, Sigilyph, Surfetched, this whole row, Starmie, Sylveon, Talonflame, Toxtricity. Yeah. I feel like just because of the sheer number of Pokemon that I just listed, like, I don't know, like, maybe they'll all be able to check each other. I don't know, yeah, like, it's very interesting. I assume they won't, because RU didn't do any bans, and they won't do any for another week, because of course, you know, a couple Pokemon like Lycanroc, Ninetales, and Terrakion were all, you know, being considered for bans, and they rose up naturally, so that's kind of what they were hoping would happen. But there's a few names here that I don't see that I think are still worthy of being banned. I'll get to that soon, though. So I don't know what NU's plans are, but they might wait until another shift to start banning things, or they might maybe wait like a week, might wait like 2 weeks or something. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know if they'll even... Well, I assume they're going to continue doing the shifts every 2 weeks until things have reached the bottom, but I don't really know. I don't know what the plans are. I've also heard something about how they're going to combine the usage from these 2 weeks along with the first 2 weeks of November, and then kind of, I don't know if they're going to use those to create shifts or if they're just going to like have those stats for viewing. But we'll see what happens. So, okay. We have OU usage stats. Let's take a look. Landorus, of course, has finally found its place at the top. This thing was a little bit confused about where it belonged for a little while, but it has found its place. Okay, understandable. Clefable still up there. Pheromosa and Urshifu, two of probably the strongest offensive Pokemon in the game right now. Well, obviously things have been banned, but two of the strongest non-banned Pokemon, I'll say. Ferrothorn at number 5, okay. Magearna, speaking of broken Pokemon. Toxapex, Zapdos, number 8, solid. Completely outdoing its Galarian counterpart. Who would have thought that like the Cantonian birds would actually outdo their new versions? Like Zapdos and yeah, there's Moltres at number 17, still outdoing their counterparts, which have both fallen to UU. Heatran at number 9. Okay, Spectrier still up at number 10. Wow, was that thing top 10 before? I forget. This thing's still powerful, clearly. Okay, Tapu Fini. Cinderace is rising up. Cinderace was definitely not top 12 before. That thing's coming up. Maybe that thing will be considered for a ban sometime soon, because it was banned before Crown Tundra, right? Melmetal still super powerful. Rillaboom, of course. Garchomp actually coming up now. What definitely was not in the top, you know, half of the usage in OU for a while there. Swampert steady climbing. Moltres still up there. Mandibuzz, Pelipper, okay. Pelipper, Rain, still good. Barraskewda did not drop, so, you know, Rain is still going strong. Nidoking actually making it to top 20. That's very interesting. You know, I had a feeling that this thing would just be like a, you know, it rises, it drops a little bit, it like stays like very low usage OU, and then occasionally drops back to UU, maybe it comes back up next shift. But no, this thing actually seems like it's found a very solid place in the OU tier. Very interesting. Slowbro still up there. Excadrill, Tyranitar, sure. Blissey, Tapu Koko, not that surprising. Buzzwole still staying up there. I thought this thing would drop off real quick once, you know, Kyurem and Zygarde got banned, but no, I guess it's staying. Tornadus. When is this thing gonna pop off? Like, I thought Nasty Plot and Boots would be like such a blessing from this thing, but maybe it's just, you know, it doesn't have the moves for the metagame right now or something. I don't know. Latios still up there. Urshifu singles. No, this is Urshifu single strike. This is Urshifu rapid strike. This one still staying. Obviously, I think this thing would be too powerful for UU, but I think it's just a little bit outshined by things like Pheromosa and Urshifu. But I guess the rain teams is where this thing really finds its usage. Dragapult down at number 30. So still a very relevant Pokemon, but just like compare this to, you know, the early Gen 8 usage, and it's crazy. Like this thing was literally like top 1 or 2 every shift, and now it's number 30. Crazy. Barraskewda, Corviknight, speaking of another Pokemon that used to be on the top, but it's still relevant, but not really as much anymore. Kartana, number 33. Hydreigon moving up to OU, as is Tapu Lele at 35, and Hippo. Okay, so they're all right next to each other. That's funny. Regieleki at 37. So that might mean that like next shift this thing drops to UU. That's interesting. Slowking, Galar moved up. Okay, interesting. I'm not really sure why this thing did, as opposed to like its Cantonian counterpart, which gets teleport. I don't think this one does. So I'd be curious to see like what the usage is here. Zygarde at 39, but it has been banned, of course. And Dragonite number 40. So things that probably will drop soon. Dragonite, maybe Regieleki. Who knows what'll happen with Slowking Galar. Maybe that thing just picked up. Maybe it'll drop back again. Who knows? Dragonite dropping and Regieleki dropping would be interesting for UU, I think. Also very surprised to see Kartana this low. I don't really see Corviknight I think is a big deal for this Pokemon, but Corviknight hasn't really had that much usage. So I don't know what it is that's keeping this thing from being like as good as it was last generation. Maybe it's just Corviknight having a little bit more usage than it, and maybe that's the only thing. So that's very interesting. Let's take a look at the lower tier usage stats. So Ubers, okay, so the Calyrex things have dropped off a little bit. I don't really play much Ubers myself, but I'm at least gonna check it out. UU, okay, Celesteela still number 1. Hydreigon is number 2, but is also moved up to OU, so that'll shift things up a bit. Scizor, Volcarona got banned too, so that's good to know. Hippowdon also moved up. So Tapu Lele is nowhere on here, which is interesting. Victini, Aegislash, Salamence, Zeraora, Como. Okay, nothing that shocking. This is like this. You could convince me that this was OU at some point though, which is kind of crazy to me. Wow. Okay, RU, my favorite tier. Want to take a look at this one? Conkeldurr, obviously the top dog here. This thing is crazy. Please get this thing out of the tier. Zarude, I think this thing could actually stay. I think it's just genuinely good. I don't think it's broken. I think it's really good. Maybe it'll be broken once a few things get banned, but I don't think it's broken right now. Slowking, probably the best defensive Pokemon in the tier. Pair that thing with a Tangrowth, but obviously Tangrowth rose up to UU, so that's gone. And it's Slowking Galarian rose up too. Maybe, could you even use those two? It's like Species Claws come into play with different forms. Anyway, Gengar, this thing was banned from UU. Yeah, what was the other thing that was banned? Oh, was it just Volcarona and Gengar? I forget, but I think Gengar has been banned, so that's gone, thankfully. Xurkitree, wow, and Haxorus. I think get this thing out of here. Terrakion is gone, thankfully it rose up, but get Haxorus and Conkeldurr. I think those are the top 2 things to get out of this tier. Kyurem, also super good, I'm sure. Togekiss, yeah, and Metagross. I think Metagross, I could see Metagross staying. Togekiss and Kyurem, I haven't really seen enough of those in the RU tier, but I could see them going as well. Yeah, wow. What a crazy time to be alive. So NU, Comfey Salazzle, this core, of course, being promoted by Pokeaim, I believe. It's just a good core on its own. Super good. Porygon 2, probably like the best defensive Pokemon in the tier. So this is kind of crazy actually, hold on. The NU tier, prior to the crazy drops that it just got, is actually getting like, some Pokemon are getting more usage. Like it's like the top 3 Pokemon all had more usage in the NU tier than than Conkeldurr had in RU, which is kind of crazy to think about, that like these 3 Pokemon were more common than like the broken Pokemon that are in RU. So like, what does that mean for this tier, and what does that mean going forward with all these crazy Pokemon that are going to drop? I'm sure all of these Pokemon will drop, because I bet if we looked at last shift's RU, except for Xurkitree, maybe Slowking, then like it would be entirely different, which is crazy. So yeah, Sceptile, Inteleon. Wow, Inteleon only 5 behind these guys, but still, top 5. Scavalier, Centiskorch, Vaporeon, Mudsdale, and Silvally Fairy. I'm sure Vaporeon got usage just because Inteleon is in the tier, but that's crazy. PU, Sandaconda, number 1. It lost usage this month, but it was still number 1. Drampa, super powerful. I'm surprised. This thing, I feel like it even got banned from NU. So it's crazy that it's PU. Maybe it was only banned from PU. Frostmoth, okay, Jolteon. Why is everything dropping in usage? Togedemaru, Hitmonchan, Savali Poison. Interesting. I don't know what the set is with that. Rotom, or I guess maybe it's just like a defensive set, because Poison can be a nice defensive typing. Rotom Fan, Cinccino, Berserker. So next shift obviously will be a crazy one for PU. And then ZU. Phalanx at number 1 is ZU. Wow. Good for Phalanx. Boltund at number 2. Crustle, Buffalant, Cursula. 2 different Gourgeist. Gourgeist large and regular Gourgeist at number 6 and number 7. That's funny. Mawile at number 8. Magmar at number 9. Wow. And Marowak number 10. Huh. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Let's see. Does anyone have any funny thoughts here? New Fightbird overload. That is crazy. I think if Hippowdon had stayed UU, then Blaziken and Zapdos would have an immediate like check. But unfortunately for UU, Hippowdon is gone and the birds are here. Wow, what a time to be dead. Also, PU is somehow the most stable tier at the moment. Yeah, and only until the next shifts. Yeah, I guess people just like using Assault Vest Regenerator, Galar Slowking. Huh. Yeah, Slowking is a jump. Okay. Oh my god, all the NU drops. Pokepocalypse. Okay, well, this video's getting long, so I'll probably end this there, but I'll hang out in the stream a little bit longer if anyone else wants to hang out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out twitch.tv/Diggletdreams to catch stuff like this as it happens live. And maybe I'll see you in the next shifts. Peace out, keep dreaming, and goodbye.